Welcome back to the podcast. And on today's episode, I welcome David, where we're going to be talking about mental and emotional wellness and much more, I'm sure. So, a quick introduction to David, and then we'll dive into the conversation. So, David Alison is an intuitive coach, trusted advisor, and thinking partner, mental and emotional wellness advocate, author, and speaker. He works with business owners and leaders who are looking for the edge to get them to next levels in life and business, and to eradicate the mental barriers that hold them back from creating and achieving the outcomes and legacy they desire. He is a volunteer regional coordinator for a mental health charity in the UK as well. So, David, welcome to the show. Glad to have you on. And you sound like you're a very busy man and doing many things. So, looking forward to diving into those. And yeah, very much great to hear you in the mental and emotional space. So, yeah, first of all, really interesting to hear what got you into the mental and emotional space, because usually when I speak to people, they've usually got like a bit of a story of their own, or someone that they know in that, and they've helped them through it. Yeah, just be curious to hear yours.
Yeah, so I mean, I can tell my story and be here all night, but let's do it in a couple of minutes. So, if I go back, where are we now? 13 years, 2011. I'm in the latter stages of my corporate career. I'm 63 years old, so this will be me. Just gone past my 50th birthday, just been divorced for a second time,
Mm,
landed a great consultancy gig in Amsterdam. My second divorce took me to the cleaners financially, and I had a bit of a breakdown.
mm,
I remember standing on a bridge near my beautiful apartment in Amsterdam and thinking how easy it would be just to get out of this shitty feeling that I was in.
mm,
And that was the first time it happened to me in my life. And if I look at it back in it now, I was drinking. I had alcohol dependency. I was getting like drunk so that I didn't remember what I was doing 3 nights a week. I was functioning. I wouldn't say I was a functioning alcoholic, but I was pretty close. And the fact that I wanted to take my own life just was a bit of a wake-up call for me. So it took me another 5 years to get into the space I'm in now, where I take my life experience and help other people with it. Because I landed my dream corporate job, which
mm.
took me into some other dark places as well. Um, you get that dream job, and it turns out it's not the dream you thought it was. Which led me to some more dark places in my life. So,
Mm,
and I've come across people. I have it like there's a legacy of mental wellness, if you like, or mental challenges in my family. Um, some of my some of my family have challenges. I've had challenges myself, and even if I look back when I was a young man, my uncle had challenges. He's no longer with us. So, and what I recognize in my 40-year corporate management career is like so many people, if I look back on it now, knowing what I know and all the work I've done, is like people just have challenges, but they just suppress things.
mm,
And if again we're jumping into scary statistics, 75% of suicides in the UK are men
mm. Yeah.
between 30 and 55. I think the age gap is so, and that's because men don't talk about stuff.
Mm,
So having been there, tasted it myself, is something I'm passionate about. So it's what I do. And I mean, I've worked with millionaires who, despite having all the money in the bank, are still in dark places
wow. Yeah.
because they're not comfortable with who they are.
Mm,
And the stories that they're telling themselves that keep them stuck. And despite having everything that money can buy, they still don't want to be here. So it comes up a lot in the work I do. So it's something I'm passionate about. I want it, particularly for men, it's about showing you there's an opportunity to live life in a different way. That
mm,
doesn't mean it's going to be easy, but there's things you can do and implement in your life that can make it easier. You can stop telling yourself the stories, and it's like I can talk about this for hours, but you go into there's things you can do and support you can get to live life in a different way. You don't have to be struggling and you don't have to be suffering.
Mm.
It's
I
a
was
long answer to your question.
No, no, that's really useful background that you've given, and thanks for sharing your personal story. The 75% stat, I think I was rereading and doing some research the other day, and I was like, yeah, wow. And then some other crazy stats as well around all the challenges of mental health we're challenged with, and there's no shortage of information on the internet if you want to look for yourself as well on kind of how people are challenged, and particularly men, as you touched on as well. But yeah, it affects everyone. So yeah, it sounded like you were in a very dark place. You went into like what you thought was your dream career at the time, and then you went into a tough place. Being on that bridge, but yeah, going away from it, and now you're helping people through these. For you, when you're in that place though, from when you said you were kind of drinking a few nights a week, and I've been there as well, and then actually wanting to like live and do something differently. How did you begin that journey? Was it just did it take a while to figure out where you wanted to go? Did you just get into some healthy habits? Just be interesting to hear how that initial transition
It was,
was implemented.
yeah, and thanks for that, Johnny. Thanks for the acknowledgement as well. So the thing was, I had a friend of mine had sent me a book by a gentleman called Paulo Coelho, which is called The Pilgrimage, and it's kind of a lot of for a lot of people. A lot of people are looking for a deeper meaning to life. Like, why the hell am I here? And I got brought up in a very religious home, um, and I kind of moved away from all of that, and I got into my own life. So what was the catalyst for me was somebody said to me, "You need to leave Amsterdam." I was living in Amsterdam at the time, 4 years in Amsterdam. When most people go to Amsterdam for a weekend and they don't remember it. I lived there for 4 years.
I've been there.
Bring a little humor into this, right? But somebody said to me, somebody I trusted very dearly at the time, she said, "You need to leave Amsterdam because it's going to kill you."
Mm.
I'm going, "Oh, piss off. I'm having a great time here." And the reality was, on the face of it, I had a cool apartment and lots of money, but there was drinking way more than was good for me, 3, 4 nights a week. And some mornings I would wake up and I thought, what the hell happened last night? So as it had turned out, this like life will always take you on a path, right? And opportunities will come in front of you, and you get a moment to decide what to do. And depending on what you decide in that moment will shape how the next period of your life runs out. So I got an opportunity to get out of Amsterdam. And I was on LinkedIn one day. I was freelancing at the time. I had an afternoon off. I was on LinkedIn looking for my next consultancy gig. And this guy pinged me a message, said, "Hey, I've got a client in Belgium. They're looking for an operations director. I think it would be really worthwhile for us to have a conversation about this because I think you could be this guy." And I looked at this, and this guy's a CEO and headhunter. And I thought, well, I'm not a CEO. What's this guy talking? Anyway, something inside of me went, press the damn button and connect with the guy. And it did. And 6 months later, I was in my dream job.
Oh
And
wow.
in my dream job, I went from drinking 4 nights a week, 3, 4 nights a week, to being at a management level that I'd never operated at before. So I needed to have my wits about me. I was responsible for 5 divisions of a Fortune 500 in the automotive sector, all operational divisions. I had 800 people in 8 countries and managed a budget of $100 million. It was like double the job I'd ever had before. And that's the job I dreamed I would have the day I got my master's degree when I was 40.
Oh wow.
And something inside of me said, okay, you're here now. But like 2.5 years later in my dream job, I'm done with this. It's like I was in boardroom fights all the time. What I'd inherited was inherently broken. Like you would expect a billion-dollar company to have processes that were robust, it wasn't. there was a legacy of not spending money and all sorts of stuff that went on. And I remember sitting with a huge glass of wine one night on a Friday night. And I used to have these glasses of wine that you could put half a bottle in to save me getting off my arse and
Mm.
going to fill it up. So I sat there and I watched this documentary on Netflix by Tony Robbins called I'm Not Your Guru.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And yeah, I'm paid. And if you're not watched it, go watch it. So within 5 minutes, tears are running down my face. I thought, what the hell is going on? And I looked at the wine glass because I was partial to a drink. I thought, well, I've not even touched this yet. And that was the thing that turned around for me. It's like, this is what you were put on earth to do. So within a year, I got myself a coach straight away. I ended up going to coach school in Brussels at one of the top coaching schools and found it was the most comfortable thing I'd ever done. I was one of these guys that all through my life, in my corporate career, I would go into big meetings and fancy dinners, but I got up the ladder, but I always kind of felt a bit of a fraud. It's like somebody's going to find me out. My first boss told me when I was 16 I would never make a manager. And despite being a manager at 19 with no real qualifications, I got a master's degree at 14, went on to be in a Fortune 500 on the board. But that guy story telling me I couldn't do this at 16 drove me for years. So at some point, I'm sure some of your listeners will recognize you're looking back over your shoulder, shit, I'm going to get found out one day soon.
Mm.
And then I walked in to the coach school in Brussels, and I was the first guy on the floor to be coached and to be a coach. And it was the most comfortable suit I had ever put on in my life. So here I am now, I'm into my 8th year, 4,500 sessions under my belt, and I love what I do.
Mm.
And I wouldn't have done that, going back to me, if I hadn't pressed that button, I wouldn't have got my dream job. It wouldn't have not worked out for me. And I wouldn't be where I am now. So there's little moments in your life that you make a decision, and the ripple effect of that will go on and on.
Mm. So it's like you've made a decision, and even if it's not where you think it's going to take you, it's taken you in this case to actually what really feels right for you in the coaching space.
Yeah,
By just making that decision.
yeah, and
And
the
there's
thing
another
is,
one.
is
Yeah.
the thing is, it's like life happens to you, right? The rain falls in Manchester on a December evening, like it is now, right? At 7 a.m. tomorrow, it will become daylight. At 4 p.m. tomorrow, it will get dark.
Mm.
That happens whatever you do. So you got a decision to make. It's like, can I get into this flow of this thing that is my life? Or can I resist it and obstruct it and push it away? And things like, you can get in a canoe and ride and start paddling and go down the river. And at some point you'll fall out because the water will get faster and you'll be in a place you've never been before. And there's always a gift in that. Like when you fall out of a canoe the first time, you remember it the next time you're in a canoe. And I was on a call earlier with some other people, and I said, look, you can do things over and over again, but you're never coming back to doing them again from the same place because there's always a new place of learning. So as you go through life, the gift is, well, what are you learning from what you've just been through?
Mm.
What's the opportunity for you? But a lot of people get in the place, oh God, life is shit, da, 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 da. And we make this story and we don't recognize, oh, yeah, if you keep doing the same thing every day in your life and you want life to be different, but you don't change what you do, and then there's a famous quote in the personal development world is like, I think it's attributed to Einstein, if you keep doing the same
Yeah.
things every day and you expect a different result, that's insanity.
Mm. Yeah.
So if you want something different in your life, then you need to change something, which is what I help the people I work with do, whether it's through my work with the mental health charity, or it's in my coaching business.
Hmm. Making a change in that way. Does that involve changing both their actions and their way of thinking?
Yeah, when this takes you into, and then again, this is my model of the world, my belief, right?
Yeah, it'd be great to hear.
So I'm 63 years old. I've seen a lot of life. The only thing that I don't think, well, I know I've not experienced in life is I've never done any drugs. I smoked a couple of joints once when I lived in Amsterdam, but I've never had an experience of drugs or hallucinogenics. But I've had alcohol dependency. I've had health issues. I've had money. I've not had money. I've had a great career. I've been in the bones of my arse. I've told people have told me I'm worthless. Other people have told me I'm like a god. There's not much in life I've not seen. And in all of that experience, what I recognize is there are three things that shape your life. Number one is your beliefs. What you believe about yourself, what you believe about the people closest to you, and what you believe about the world in general. And that's like things like money, relationships, government, whatever it is. The second thing is the emotions that you live in every day. Are you living every day in default emotions? So by default emotions, I mean, how do you show up most every day? Are you in anxiety or fear or stress or depression? Or are you in a it's showing up in emotions of passion, excitement, determination every day? Because how you show up emotionally will shape what runs through your head.
Hmm.
What runs through your head becomes a belief, and you'll take actions from that belief. The third thing is your habits, your mental, emotional, physical, and if you're a spiritual person, your spiritual habits. Like, how many hours a day do you spend on this little square device that fits in your pocket?
Too many.
When you wake up in the morning, do you open Instagram or whatever your favorite social media thing is of choice? Do you do that before you get out of bed? What do you do in the last hour before you spend it? What do you feed your mind with? How many hours of news do you watch? Because what happens is what you feed your mind with affects how you show up in the world. It affects your emotions. If you remember, the whole world can remember 4 years ago when COVID happened, the whole world was programmed with fear.
Hmm.
Some people are like there are more and more suicides now than there was 4 years ago because people are afraid. More and more people are getting sick because they're being programmed by fear. When was the last time you saw good news on the TV?
I don't know. I don't watch the news.
Yeah, so I don't watch TV either, Johnny. So it's like my involvement in this is to share wisdom with people, and every now and again, I'll share pictures of cool stuff I'm doing with my family.
Hmm.
So it's about what do you feed your mind with? What do you feed your body with? What are those habits that move you forward in life? And what are those ones that you need to, like for me, my biggest habit was I needed to do something about my drinking. So now if I have more than two or three glasses of wine, I'm done.
Hmm.
When I lived in Amsterdam, I could do 8 or 9 pints and five whiskies and still function the next day. So those three things shape how life happens for you. If your life's not happening the way you want, then one of those three things need to change. The reality is it's probably a little bit of everything.
Hmm. So those are the three main things you look at with people when they're
Yeah,
like a
so
bit stuck.
it's
Yeah.
yeah, your beliefs, the emotions you live in, and your habits.
Hmm.
And it doesn't matter. And lots of people go to therapy, and there's all different types of coaching modalities and healings,
Yeah.
but it still comes down to what you believe about yourself. It still comes down to the emotions you show up in every day, and it still comes down to what you do. What are those habits you've got?
Hmm. With the
And a
habit
lot,
with the habit change, I know it can be like from my personal experience, and even when I used to coach in this sort of space, it was could be quite hard to shift some like habits. Is it because they're so ingrained in us? For you, like I know talking about drinking, because quite a lot of people um, find that like that's particularly talked about, and it can be a challenging one. Is that something that you gradually like cut down, if we're using that as an example, or is it something you just had to give up for a period of time?
Well, the thing is, Johnny, there's some habits are easier to shift than others
Mm,
because behind a habit, there's a need. There's something you get from doing what you do.
mm,
And for people that may have studied NLP, it's called secondary gain. There's a reason you do something. So a lot of people, and a lot of people will do things to please other people. A lot of, and they'll do that because, well, if I do this, then I'm going to be liked.
mm,
Like, so if I come back to drinking, when I got into, well, I lived in Amsterdam, I got into the expat scene. I was a lonely, miserable guy. I'd just been divorced. I had very little money. I mean, I was earning good money, but all the money I'd put away went. And I'm sitting there miserable. All the other expats went home at the weekend to their wives and their girlfriends and their kids. And I didn't have anybody. So I had to create a new world for me. So I thought, well, yeah, I'll go clubbing. I hated it. But then I found a group of people that loved the things I love, like going to live concerts, live music. Amsterdam was a great place to get live music, from bars to stadiums. And so I connected with people that loved doing the things I love. Part of that came with drinking more than was good for me. But I did it because, well, if I keep in with these people, they're going to like me. If they like me, then I won't feel alone. And
mm,
if people like me, then yeah, maybe there's a chance that I'll meet somebody else and I'll fall in love or whatever. And you do these things because you believe it's going to bring you something.
mm,
And the secondary gain bit goes, okay, I recognize that I'm drinking, but I'm doing it because it meets a need. It meets a need for, like, when I drink, I can forget all the crap going on in my life.
mm,
I can forget that I've just had a bad divorce. I can forget the shitty week I've had at work. Boom. So I can forget that it meets, and when I'm drunk, I have no inhibitions. So I can connect with people. I can be funny. Oh God, David's so funny when he's pissed. So people will connect to you. But underneath all that, there's a lot of pain going on.
mm,
But you don't, well, if I keep getting drunk, people are gonna like me. So that's okay. I can live with the pain when I go home and I wake up in the morning with a hangover. Because
mm.
last night people liked me, people connected with me, people were giving me hugs. Um, I got chatted up by a beautiful woman in a bar. That's right.
Mm,
It meets your need for something. But underneath all that is like the longer you keep that pain, all it does, it just keeps stacking.
mm,
So it's a bit like a glass of water. You take a glass and every now and again you come back to it in the morning. Like well, I'll use this now. I've got a cup of coffee here, right? I make about 10 cups of coffee a day. I finish two of them. So I make a cup of coffee, then I get engrossed in something. And then I later, oh, you know what? I really love a coffee. So I've got a coffee here that's half full. So I can do two things. I can empty the coffee cup and start again. Or I can just put it on my espresso machine and press the button again. What that does is it just tops up more coffee. And sooner or later, the coffee cup will spill all over the place.
mm,
Right. It's the same with your emotions.
mm.
When you,
Good
you
analogy.
when you don't release those elements of pain in your life and all the experiences that people go through, sooner or later something bursts. And that's what brings people to the point where I was that dark night in Amsterdam where I didn't want to be here.
Mm,
I hadn't dealt with all the pain and all the shit that I carried through my life.
mm,
So when you can get to that place where, and it takes courage to do that. And if you're a man, it takes balls to do it right. You got to go, hey, I need some help here. I need somebody that can help me shift this pain I'm going through.
mm,
And you can go to therapy or you can have a coach or you counselor, whatever it is, whatever feels right for you. But you gotta be prepared to do the work, to let go of the pain you're carrying. And a lot of people come to to help, to self-help and coaching and things, but they're not prepared to let go of the pain because without the pain, who am I?
Mm.
And it's like, and there's a great expression, you've probably heard it many times and talked to many of your people on your show. It's like, beyond the other side of fear is a great new life. But for many people, well, fear's what I know. I can't go beyond that because I don't know what's going to happen.
Mm.
Because we're going, we automatically think the worst is going to happen. And what any good coach or therapist will do will help you to see things in a different way. Yeah. So, and the thing is, 95% of what we worry about never happens.
Mm.
But the more you focus on something, I spoke to somebody this morning, a client, I said, so you were focusing on all the things that could possibly go wrong. What happened? He said, yeah, they went wrong. I said, so what are you going to do differently in the next 6 months of your life? Well, when I get that thought, I'm going to think, okay, what could possibly go right? And where you start to put your focus and attention, you automatically put more energy to it. So when you start thinking, well, what can go right here? You will come up with ways to make that happen.
Mm. So yeah, powerful new way of, and well, empowering way to like think of it,
Yeah.
in that way. And yeah, fear is unfortunately a huge thing. So, but bringing that awareness to it, I love what you said about secondary gain as well, and that being behind the habit a lot certainly can relate to that. Yeah, even just scrolling your phone, which is a big addiction as well. There's some kind of gain out of that, right? It's like connection, or think it's root connection, but
Yeah,
that's
let me compare myself to the people that are prettier than me, I've got more money than me.
mm,
And unfortunately what you see a lot on social media is like, oh, there's somebody having it. Oh, let's make fun of them. Boom. And you
mm,
just so and you read all about it. Oh, some of the people that take their own life are because they were bullied on social media
mm,
by somebody that didn't. It's like if somebody says something that you don't agree with, just don't as soon as you engage in the energy of something that you don't like or don't see, you're giving your power away.
mm, yeah,
It's like what is it that possesses, and you see it so many with celebrities. A young lad in a boy band took his own life recently, right?
mm,
And he did all the trappings in the world, but people made his life shit.
yeah,
What is it that makes people do that? Most people, a lot of people do that, and there's not a judge on here. People do it because of where they are in their own mindset. I can't see somebody more successful than me. There's jealousy, there's envy. But what people don't see is for that person to get what they've got in life, they've had to make sacrifices, they've had to do things. And if you look at a lot of celebrities nowadays, they don't have a life, they don't have a private life.
no,
Could you or I imagine a place like we could get 10 million a year as a football player, for example, but we don't have a private life? Could you live life like that?
no,
Is 10 million a year worth that shit? No, it's not.
no, no, very true. David, I want to thank you for everything you've shared. I know you're doing a lot of work out there with like leaders and people, and with the charities as well. So thank you for that, especially the mental health charity. Where can the listener find more from you if they want to get in contact or find more about your work? I know you got a couple of things.
Yeah, so I've got some ebooks that I can share. I've shared those links with you. I've got some more that I'll make available by the time. So by the time you hear this, there'll be more available. My website, www.davidgallison.com. It will be up again. It's just getting an upgrade at the moment. You'll find me on Facebook, on Instagram, and on LinkedIn. And yeah, come and see what I'm about. I'm open to have a conversation with anybody that wants to make a change in their life.
Amazing. Yeah, we'll be sure to link all those, but in the show notes as well, your books and your websites and everything. So yeah, no, thank you once again, David, for everything
That's been a
you've given
pleasure.
us today. Cool.
Okay.
Appreciate you. So that concludes our episode for today. And remember to lead with your heart and not with fear.